Evening to everyone, and at this time, we now call to order the first Planning Commission meeting of the new year of 2025 for the Culpeper County Planning Commission, and we welcome all of you here to help us celebrate this occasion. No, just kidding. But anyway, we are glad that you came out this evening and to join in this meeting with us. And before we go any further, the first item on the agenda will be the approval of tonight's agenda, and we'll do we got a few new things, and I'll fit those in.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed likewise. The agenda has been approved. Approval of the minutes from our November the 20th meeting and December the 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we will go ahead and put those minutes into our records. At this time, we now have a duty. Before we do go to that point, I do want to take the time out to welcome our two newest members on the commission. We are looking forward to you all giving your input and being a part of this, and we consider it family. We come in here, we smile at each other, and when we leave, we smile at each other, okay? But we, whatever the majority votes to do, that's what we pleased with, and then we move on to the next case, okay? But we welcome you both, and it's a learning process, and anytime you have any questions, give me that look, okay? And I know that look, okay? And we'll make sure that we get it addressed, okay? All right? But I can give your name, right? Elliot Eggborn, and then we have Mark Wilkes. Okay, welcome to both of you, okay? All right. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Director of Planning and Zoning and for the election of our chair.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford. Guess I'd like to open up the floor for nominations for the chairman of the Planning Commission. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Sanford Reeves to continue.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Thank you. Are there any further nominations for the chairman's position?
Move
Seeing
to close
none.
nominations.
Nope.
Close nominations, she said.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Nominations are closed. We have one name on the ballot, Mr. Reeves, to continue as the chairman of the Planning Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The meeting is yours.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we thank you all for your continued support. And of course, we 2024 we had a lot of challenges, and but I was never more proud of the Planning Commission than how we handled things. No really complaints and all that I heard, anyway. But we stayed steadfast to getting the job done and being able to give the board the information that they needed to be able to make the decisions that they had to make. So I look forward to continuing to do that. And you have any questions, anything for me, feel free to give me a buzz, okay? All right, and we thank the staff. We just have had a marvelous staff. You make it easy for, what we need to have done. And even Sam is moving on, but he texted and just wanted to check on us to see, make sure everything was okay. So, but we'll keep him in our prayers. Now, the next item on the agenda is the election of a vice chair. The chair entertain a motion for nominees for that.
Sir. May I make a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to move that we allow Ray Ziegler to be the vice chair for this coming year.
Okay, probably moving second. Do we have any other nominations?
Move to close nominations.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, we now vote on the Ray Ziegler, who is the only nomination. So, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed likewise? Okay. All right. Okay, sir.
Appreciate the good conference from our fellow commissioners, and applicant has promised to do everything I can to do what's best for Culpeper County, and to confirm that you trust in me. Thank you.
And I want to tell you, too, I'll be gone the next 3 months. Yes. You laughing? Okay. Now, we're going to our old business, and first case, John? Oh, Neil, excuse me, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have case Z 458-23-1. It's a request by Compton and Duling, care of Sherman Patrick, to rezone 254.63 acres from RA, rural area, and R1 residential to R3 residential and LI light industrial for the Armstrong Planned Community. The applicant is proposing to use the property for single-family attached and detached units, as well as commercial and light industrial uses per proffer statement tendered by the applicant. Property is located between Nalles Mill Rd, Route 667, and Bragg's Corner Road, Route 666, in the Stevensburg Magisterial District. It's found on Tax Map 41, parcels 111, 111A, and 111D.
Planning Commission. Although the general concept of the master Although the general concept of the master plan community is aligned with the county's long-range plans for areas as a designated growth area, there are many concerns regarding other aspects of the vision and goals relating to the most current comprehensive plan and Code of Virginia that draw concern for staff. The impact mitigation that is needed for such an increase in population and activity is significant, and in staff's opinion is not properly mitigated at this time in order to promote the health, safety, convenience, and general welfare of the general public. Due to our concerns, staff cannot recommend approval of the rezoning request at this time. Staff is concerned with the impact from the expected population increase and the following increase in demand for county resources. Staff is especially concerned about the impact on school capacity from the potential increase in school-aged children moving into the county. A school capacity study was recently done suggesting with current known development on the books that school capital improvements of at least $130 million are needed and anticipated. This development will add additional children to the average daily membership of the current school system. In staff's opinion, the application projected numbers may be low, especially in light of discounting age-targeted dwellings. Age-targeted is very different than age-restricted. I will note that the applicant has added some age-restricted housing to their mix of housing types. But again, this is as long as one person is above the age of the restriction, there can be other people in the house of any age. Since there's no enforcement mechanism for age-targeted units, it is possible that any of the proposed single-family units that are not age-restricted could generate school-aged children. And for this reason, staff believes the number presented by the applicant may be lower than what actually is realized. Staff is also concerned that the planned residential uses, while addressing a perceived or projected housing demand, might not significantly or positively impact the need and demand for more affordable or attainable housing options. Furthermore, the proposed development does not provide much of a variety of housing types. Transportation. Staff agrees with VDOT that a roundabout would be preferable at the intersection of Bragg's Corner Road and Rogers Road, Bennett Road. Staff is concerned about the use of Enterprise Way since it is currently not up to state standards, especially since the applicant will have entrances to the residential and public safety landing bays along the road and its future expansion. The existing portion of Enterprise Way should be improved to state standards and be accepted into the state system. Relatedly, staff is concerned about the increased traffic that will occur at the intersection of Enterprise Way and Bragg's Corner Road. It currently has no traffic controls and would be adjacent to the new fire station and rescue station. Additionally, that portion of Bragg's Corner Road is 2 lanes instead of the 4 lanes further south. While dedication of the right-of-way for the future north-south connector with the town of Culpeper is beneficial, it may not be enough to offset traffic impacts of this development and the future cost of designing and building a future bridge over the railroad. This bridge would become increasingly necessary to alleviate local traffic with the creation of this development. I'll go back to my opening statement, and I'll just end with this, Mr. Chairman. Due to these concerns, staff cannot recommend the approval of this rezoning request at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. The applicant, representative for the applicant, like to speak at this time?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And thank you all this evening, as well as the public, as the chairman already said, for turning out on an evening that was a little bit more challenging than any of us expected. I want to say welcome to the new planning commissioners. Have not had an opportunity to talk with you yet, but would look forward to doing that in the future. As you know, Mr. Chairman, and I hope the other commissioners know, that we submitted a letter on December 11 requesting a deferral of this evening's hearing for several reasons. One is because of changeover in staff. We realized that there is a transitional period that we didn't anticipate when we talked about a deferral back in October that would occur in the midst of, or so close to this public hearing. In addition to that, we have two new commissioners who not really had an opportunity to participate in the earlier hearing or in the earlier work session that we had in this case. And then and another item is that we have dialogued on this case with staff and with the commission really at four intersections in time. One is with the issuance of the first staff report, again with the issuance of the second staff report, and then we had work sessions with the commission back in July and a public meeting with the commission in October. So where that has left us is the dialogue has been curtailed a little bit. We made substantial revisions to the application after the October meeting. We we thought we nailed it. We resubmitted the application. We received a staff report during the holidays. There wasn't anyone to talk with. People weren't available during the holidays, of course. And we frankly would like to engage with the commission and with the staff in a meaningful dialogue about what remains to be addressed in terms of mitigation. We've done a lot since that last application, and we would like to have a work session in lieu of requesting another planning commission public hearing date. We think that it would be very constructive for the commission, staff, and for the applicant if we could do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll discuss it. Okay. All right. As you all know, and when we got that information, that's what held us up a little bit as far as starting. But we, at the last meeting that we did have, and we honored the deferral, we actually closed the public hearing with the option of voting to reopen the public hearing at this particular meeting. We have, since I've been here, deferral, it's been done usually once they have an opportunity to defer it, and then unless something major going on, I have not seen it done twice, but you know, that doesn't mean that it can't happen. But at this time, we have to make the decision whether to vote, which we don't have to open the public hearing, we can vote, or we can open the public hearing, or we can accept the deferral, the request that we've just heard. So give you just a second to think about that one, and then we'll, because you have three options here. If we vote not to accept the deferral, then we can have the opportunity to reopen the public hearing and take it through the complete process tonight. But if we decide to not accept the deferral, then we can vote and move forward. Okay? Have a little discussion. It's open right now. Yes, Mr. Price?
Mr. Chairman, I just asked the question, if we have a future session on this, I think, so the applicant's intent is that we will discuss the modification that we've got in our packet tonight, or do you still have to do work based on the staff response that they don't support the proposal based on lack of mitigation?
You know, it might be a good idea for you to just stand until we,
Yes, sir. Mr. Price, I would recommend that we have an opportunity to meet with staff and discuss their concerns about mitigation. There were some indications in parts of the staff report that they may not have picked up on certain things that we included in the proffered conditions or that were in the general development plan that we believe, at least in part, addressed issues that they had mentioned as not being addressed. In addition to that, I think that it would be productive to have a work session with the Planning Commission after meeting with staff and going through the recommendations. The recommendations, as you know, appear on page 31 of the staff report. And there's a lot of information for you all to wade through. But the final 3 or 4 pages, beginning at page 31, are really setting out more succinctly, honestly, the concerns that staff has than I've ever seen them expressed before. And so knowing what the concerns are allows us to address them and make our best, put our best foot forward and try to resolve the issues that they may have remaining.
I might also point out that the traffic impact analysis addendum that was dated early December is still based on the earlier number. In fact, it's an inflated number of units there. It's like 805 is what they based that on, and when the original proposal was 770, now you're down to 682. So I guess my point is you're dealing with some, I think, some outmoded data here that you might want to correct.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And if you don't mind me adding, going to the age-restricted housing, 262 units at age-restricted housing also produces substantially less traffic. So you're correct, the numbers are lower and the data is not up to date. One of the things about VDOT, though, they tend to, if you submit a revision to them, they start all over again. And so it is not uncommon to have a case that reduces the actual traffic volume, but proceed with an application with the TIA as it is, understanding that the impacts, whatever your impacts are going to be less than what was in that original analysis.
I have a question, maybe it's for staff, but I noticed in the report VDOT was still reviewing the information. Do we know what the timing is of them actually making a decision of when they're going to get back with us in terms of whether they recommend approval or denial? You know, for this large of an application, it would be helpful to know what their view on it is, especially with the revised numbers with TIA and everything else associated with it.
Without writing this in stone, my understanding is by the end of this month.
Okay.
okay? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. One of my questions is, when you did the TIA, did that include the additional traffic that we generated by the new school that you're proposing to provide us a lot for?
No, sir, it did not, but we have done an abbreviated analysis to determine what the impact of a possible school site on the 40-acre location would be. I want to point out also is that the county has not made a final determination on where their next school site will be. Their board is going to be considering it tomorrow evening. In addition, we don't know that this would be the next school site. It might be the one after next. We just thought it was valuable to provide an opportunity for a school within a neighborhood and within an area that the county has identified for high-density development to have one here as well as at the other location at some future date. Right now, what we've proffered is a school and/or public recreation site for that 40 acres.
And relative to the school and the fire station that you've proffered, has there been any coordination with the school board or with the fire chief and so forth in terms of their perspective on this?
We have been working directly with the fire department, the volunteer fire department regarding potential location there. I believe that there may be someone here this evening who would speak in support of it. The schools have been focused, I think, on Green's Corner at this point.
Yeah, we spoke with Rob.
You, give your name for the record.
Sal Migliori, Ryan Holmes.
Okay.
And we did meet with Rob Holman on several occasions and had several different drawings that he made comments to. We started with 25 acres on 2 entrances, and he requested a 3rd entrance for buses separately for individual homeowners, parents dropping off, and then a separate for parking. And then he actually went back to their consultant and said from 25 acres, they recommend 30 acres, which is where we landed at. So that
But has
was-
there been any discussion as to where's the right place in Culpeper to put the next school?
Their comment was that they don't make those decisions, that's a board decision. They can only look at what's provided to them and comment on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
In regard to the fire department, we spoke with Junior and Steve Corbin, met with them. They actually, again, went through several iterations of layouts to the point we started with a 4-bay for the fire department, ended up with a 6-bay, make sure that the big ladder truck could turn around, had enough space for that. We also vetted that with our engineer, who also said that would accommodate the big ladder truck. So.
So to follow up to Ray's comment, in terms of the school, if for some reason the school board says this is not the right location for where the school is, are you willing to have a higher monetary contribution
Absolutely.
instead of the location of the land?
Absolutely. And that's why.
Because I
we
think it's
heard-
like $3.5 million or something like that that's currently being contributed as part of the proffer.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So I was going to ask a specific question. I'm not sure, I think maybe we want to defer it and let you get things in order, and maybe some of us more up to speed with the list of proffers and maybe some changes to some of your proffers. As far as the firehouse, that is a volunteer entity that the county has not said that they would fund a firehouse, have they? And CIP meeting is coming up. I mean, suppose they don't fund the firehouse, what happens to that 5 acres?
The
Because it will
property-
have light industrial zoning.
The way that we've structured the proffers is that the dedications would go to the Board of County Supervisors, or the Board of Supervisors. And so the Board of Supervisors would own that property, and then they could decide what to do with it and when. So we know that there's some discussion going on about the CIP. We know the fire department has also been looking at another location that has advantages. But, if you really need fire stations on both sides of the railroad. Right now, you have one on the far side, and then you have one all the way down at Riva, and then some others further out in the county. But it makes a lot of sense to have another fire station here, close to James Madison Highway, as well as being close to a lot of the economic development projects that have been growing in this area.
Correct. So does it have to be light industrial zoning for a fire station, Neil?
No, it doesn't.
It does not. So that piece is what you're saying you're asking in your application to make light industrial. So you could make it something else.
Yes, ma'am, we could. We had already drafted the zoning plat, and so and public uses don't need to abide by the zoning. It could be a modification that could be discussed, and it wouldn't have any impact on our proposal.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all I have right this second. Go ahead.
All right, I think the intent of probably what you were getting at is you didn't want that to be a data center.
Right.
Prohibit that in the proffers from that area being a
It
data
says it
center.
in the, it
Yeah.
says it though.
We
Right,
have
I know.
proffered out data
Yeah,
center on
yeah,
all of
I
the
think that was
industrial
the
parcels
intent.
since the last meeting.
One last question, and that's on the traffic and transportation-related item. There was a proffer two related items. There was a proffer related to that you basically would get a credit of $1.5 million. I wasn't quite clear on what that proffer was entailing. I mean, basically how that credit is worked out. And my understanding of the signal is that even with the amount of build-out with the development, putting in a signal would improve that existing intersection from a level of service F to a level of service C. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. There are turning movements at that intersection today that are failing. It is primarily the side streets, the lefts and rights coming out of Rogers Road and Bennett Road. So there is a present failing intersection there now that needs improvement, and it's identified in a lot of the public documents. So the monetary contribution that the applicant is making for all of the units, it results in a $2.7 million contribution to the county for use for transportation improvements. The intersection can be brought up to an acceptable level of service all the way through 2034 by installing a traffic signal there. And if you're familiar with that intersection, you can see that when VDOT built those improvements a few years back, they built it for a traffic signal. All the lanes are already there. Not all the lanes, but the lanes on the James Madison Highway side are already in place. There's substantial construction and utility relocation that has to go on the north side of Rogers Road and Bennett. So that's the reason for a lot of the cost. So getting to the credit question, the applicant's development is going to be responsible for about 25% of the traffic that's moving through that intersection. So they're fixing the 25% impact that they're having and the 75% impact that is coming from elsewhere in the county, some of it already there. So it seemed reasonable to take a credit back for the traffic signal and intersection improvements of up to $1.5 million. Staff did tell us they were concerned about it not being limited. When we were here before in October, there wasn't a limit on how much that would be. We had done a preliminary estimation of $1.1 to $1.2 million to install the signal and make the additional improvements to the culverts and do utility relocations. But because of their concern, we said, okay, we'll put a cap on it. And then after that 1.5 million, which we hope is going to be less, the county would still have $1.2 million to spend on any traffic improvement or any intersection or congestion issues that are in this entire area. And so that's the basis of the credit. There's 1.5 up to 1.5 for the traffic signal installation because 75% of that problem is coming from someone else. And then there's at least another $1.2 million that would be available to the county to use in other locations where they deem fit. And part of it, frankly, would probably be a good thing to do would be to study the idea of the roundabout and get to some more specific design requirements, because right now the roundabout is just that. All we know about the roundabout, other than what we've provided in terms of our preliminary analysis, is just somebody said, well, let's have a roundabout. Also, similar situation for the flyover for the railroad. So these monies could be used for specific improvements, but they're also available for the county to use to study transportation improvements that are needed in this area as it continues to grow.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know from a technical standpoint, the roundabout basically frees up a lot of the congestion because you have more free flow traffic than you have stopped at a stoplight. So I'm assuming that's why some of the staff was saying that the roundabout is a preferred option from that perspective. But obviously there's somewhat of an improvement there from what it is today if that was to go forward with a signal temporarily until such time as the roundabout funding was allocated.
After it's been studied and some engineering has taken place. The roundabout has some pretty substantial impacts on existing properties at that intersection. It will affect the businesses that are located in 3 quadrants of that intersection. It will require, it will substantially impact the residents that's in the northwest quadrant of that intersection. So there's a lot of additional costs there beyond building a roundabout, not only in specific construction, because there's also a triple box culvert and stormwater management that needs to be redesigned. But it's also going to impact the businesses that are there because it will require reconfigurations of where their driveway entrances are. And the gasoline station in particular will be greatly impacted because of its topography combined with its distance to the intersection that we're talking about.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, as you stated earlier, you know, we typically don't do a second deferral. You know, we've been listening to this since October, and it doesn't change the core values and the staff's recommendation about denial. So therefore, I move that case Z-458-23-1 be denied, as it does show significant impacts in terms of schools and transportation to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents, and is not in substantial accordance with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Motion's on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think I might be willing to let the applicant work this some more with staff and maybe come back with, maybe even with a work session. I mean, it's still really big. It's still a lot of people. Still a lot of traffic on a road not suited for, even though you've added the turn lanes. So it's hard for me to see how we get to something that's acceptable unless there's really dramatic changes in this. But, you know, one takeaway for me from the whole A1RA discussion was maybe one way to reduce the pressure to subdivide agricultural land for residential is to let people build houses in growth areas like this where it's meant to be. So there may be a way we can get there, and I guess I'm willing to let them have another shot at it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, I'm kind of the same opinion that Keith has. I think, you know, there is some opportunities for some additional changes to the application that could benefit whatever goes to the Board of Supervisors. So I'd like to see a deferral from my perspective. And I think there is additional data that can be looked at from a transportation standpoint in terms of the roundabout versus the signal. I'd like to see some information or benefits from one versus the other. I'd also like to see something with the school board before in terms of whether or not that's something that is something that's amenable to them in terms of what that is, as well as increased monetary contribution if that's something that's necessary. But if the application doesn't come back and there's not substantive changes, then I think you'll probably be in a case of denial, is what I see.
Yes.
So the only reason that I'm thinking maybe we defer, even though I second your motion, is because then we would, as analytical body and group, have better input into the proffers. If we send it to the supervisors as it is, then we will not perhaps have any more input on the proffers. So that's a thought process I might want to throw out there too. If we send it up there just like it is, we might get it back just like it is.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Barnhill. I think one of the requirements or one of our jobs as a planning commission is to let the Board of Supervisors know what we consider the issues and the major stumbling blocks. And until we know maybe a little bit more of the insight into this, we haven't gotten all of that done yet. But I also go back to what Mr. Kilby said, and that was that I don't think you can come back with minor tweaks to this proposal. We're looking at substantial changes to the areas of transportation, the school, but anyway, it's not tweaking the proposal. It's going to have to be significant changes in some areas that have been identified as large concerns.
Okay.
So this is where I get back to, we're kind of deja vu, those of you that have been on here a while, of the data centers and solar facilities. Our job is to look at what's in front of us and make the recommendation. They've had ample time. It's not our job to coach them to get a approvable application. And by not voting to deny, I feel like that's what we're setting ourselves up for, is to continue to draw it out, waste county money, and coach them into a approvable application.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I guess my perspective on that is I think our job is to do what's best for the county, and I'm not sure we have all the data to make that call at this point.
Yes. Okay. We've heard some discussion on it, and as far as denying the deferral and all in the motion that's on the floor, and I did say that we have, not that I've since I've been here, have I seen a situation where we've had deferrals, back to back. But, this is a different type of situation that we are dealing with. And we always want to give the applicant the benefit of the doubt, and a lot is invested in the whole process, and when you get that close, it's not that it's completely not warranted for that area or being allowed in that area, because the staff that is denying it for several different reasons that basically saying that you need to go and work on it. So I think we have some good input, both ways, but again, when it comes to the Planning Commission, our job is to decipher through this, and I agree with Katie also, when you say we don't want to spend a lot of our time, having to deal with that, because that's an added cost also, but when you stress that, and understanding that is our job to go as far as we can go, not to tell you how to or work with you until you can put out a positive application. But I think we are real close to something happening here now, and I think that if we get a little bit more information, that it would happen also. So I would want to see that deferral one more time. And after that, then I think it was already stressed that we don't expect little tweaks, when it comes in, and we won't be visiting and having a lot of workshops and things like this. It won't go on that way, but what we have here, this one time with all the other things that are going to be happening in that area too, we don't have a lot of locations where we are going to be able to put a lot more homes, when we say affordable homes and all also. So if we can find a way to make it work that is going to be comfortable with, those surrounding, businesses that are there, because there's a lot of commercial in that area, there also. So, but at this time, we do have a motion on the floor, and that motion is to deny. So any other discussion? Being none, all who are in favor of denial, raise your right hand. Okay. All opposed? So, of course, Walter's not here tonight, and then we had to go through that. Okay. So, so is there any other discussion, since that is a tie there?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I get back to the same thing. I mean, we've had several meetings about this already. After the last one, I mean, we stressed the fact of it needed to be a substantial change. We have not seen a substantial change. They're in the business of houses. That's not rocket science. So they're going to maximize the amount of houses there. It's not going to go down to 20 houses on that parcel. That's just not going to happen. So it's still going to be a significant impact to that area that we are not prepared to handle in our schools or with our traffic. It's just not going to change.
Yes.
I concur. I do not think that they can fix this to the point where it's going to be acceptable to our community. I believe that there will be impact on those little businesses that are right there, and the possibility of a roundabout versus a light, the traffic going to school in the morning. This is going to be probably, I don't know, if you multiply a $500,000 average per home, townhouse included, and you multiply that out by 800 units, I mean, that's a $400 million project, and we're going to get $1 million, maybe 2.7. Maybe we don't have to build a school, maybe. I'm not for that. I cannot agree with that. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Being the new kid on the block here,
Yes.
and trying to figure my way around, I just in listening to this and reading through the information that's been presented, I agree with the staff. I don't see any benefit to the health, safety, and well-being of the current Culpeper citizens. There's an increase in traffic, a burden to existing infrastructure, a burden to the school system. which is an expense to the county far in excess of any benefit that is even perceived here. Placing the new Culpeper citizens who would actually live in that community, you would place them in the community next to data centers, and I don't know if that's really, for their health, safety, and well-being, a good thing for them. And we have to consider them, I think, also. And then I read something about the potential of needing eminent domain to be able to accomplish this, and that's even another negative. So I don't see any redeeming qualities to this to go forward with, and to waste time going to another level of, I suggest that we deny it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that case Z-458-23-1 be denied as it is not in substantial conformance with the comprehensive plan and does show significant impacts to the health, safety, and welfare of the Culpeper County residents in terms of our school systems and transportation.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Yes.
May I ask the applicant a question? Would that be a thing I could do?
At this point, we,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
we have the motion on,
All right,
but you can state what your concern is.
well, yeah, as I mentioned, as two of my colleagues have mentioned, we would need to see a drastic reworking of this, and I'm not sure. So they've gone from 770 down to 682. I don't know if they're willing to go down to 400 or 300 units or whatever it would take to make that acceptable. And I might ask, and I wonder if maybe staff had ever made the suggestion that rezoning this to a planned unit development might have been a better way forward than, this R3 and this LI and sort of be a hodgepodge. I mean, maybe that would have been a better solution, I don't know. We still would have had the traffic issues, though.
Sure, sure. It's a major task, that is. Any other?
Yeah, I just had a statement, I guess. I mean, this area, in terms of the comp plan, is zoned for 3 to 8 dwelling units per acre. So in terms of the application is coming in about 3 dwelling units per acre, which is at the low end of the comp plan. So from a land use standpoint, it is in general compliance with what the comp plan shows. So the question I have, and we have to consider as a county or as a planning commission and also Board of Supervisors, is the comp plan and what we're proposing correct? Because it's not necessarily fair for the applicants and other parties to come forth and spend an exorbitant amount of funds to come up with an application that's in conformance with the land use. As long as they can mitigate the development, then it should be something that should be considered. I think, from my perspective, the one thing that we as a county need to look at and something we need to further about is having a master transportation plan that looks at how much development can occur along this corridor, and then that determines what the comprehensive plan would be in certain jurisdictions and in certain localities. And I don't think we've done that to date. So it makes it difficult to make a ruling on something when there are things that we as a county, I think, need to improve. Thank you.
Okay.
But you
I agree with
also-
that statement, yeah.
Well, but you also have to remember that prior to this last plan, it was not an area of growth. It was commercial, industrial. I'm still not sure why the board ever changed that on the future land use map. The data centers hadn't been approved across the way either, so therefore it's putting houses by data centers and stuff is not consistent with the area character. And to me, that's where it's not in conformance.
Okay.
Yes, the concern with that is it is an approved comp plan, and if that was the case, then we shouldn't have approved it.
But the comp plan's supposed to be a guideline, not the Bible.
Exactly, and the board approves it, the final.
Okay. All right. What's cool in here?
But we're all still friends at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, that's right. We're still smiling. But I understand, and, and I think we, have some good reasoning on both sides, and that's what the whole intent is of these types of discussions. Any other discussion? Yeah, I was thinking whether I was going to say anything else tonight.
Comment, I guess, is from what I understand, and my knowledge is probably limited in this, but there are quite a few residential communities and housing, potential housing units already planned and already approved in the county. And I don't know, has that been assessed, the impact that's going to have on us? And have we dealt with that properly in a way that would make sense where we can even consider something like this? So it adds a whole nother number to the number that's already in existence. And I'm not aware of that, so I need to be brought up to speed on that probably. But that would be a concern.
Okay. No, that's my responsibility. No one else is to say no, and someone else made a comment. So, we have it before us, and we've already had discussion. Some good points have been brought up. It's not a project that could not work one day if all the pieces came together. And it has some issues, safety and things like that are some concerns, and I think we can get better with that, and that's why we was thinking about the deferral. But to move this forward, we have a vote that's have the motion and it's been seconded. We had a discussion. Is there any other discussion? Nope, they can't be part of it, whoever's on that phone. But yes, Walter called in his. But we have that, and I understand, Lance, I understand Ray and Keith and what you what you all have expressed, and but we did, and I've had to think about this again too, and we did already give them the opportunity once to defer to come back to us, and some of these issues that the staff had going on, we should have got them addressed, some, and so I will be in this vote. I will vote to not give them the opportunity to defer it again. And we move it on to the board, and then we see if that vote goes that way. We move it on to the board, and we see the fight's not over, and it's really not a fight. It's trying to work your way into this system. It is jam-packed out there, but it is zoned for that type of, well, not zoned for that, but it can fit when it comes to the comprehensive plan. With all that being said,
Call for the question.
let me just ride this wagon a little bit further, okay? You used to be the vice president. You're not the vice chair. You're not the vice chair anymore, sis. But at this time, all in favor, raise your right hand of the motion.
For denial.
Of the motion, which is, okay, and all opposed. Okay. All right, we will forward it to the board with a recommendation of denial, okay? Well, wait a minute, we're, hold on. We are denying the deferral, so, okay. You did the case, okay, all right, okay. I thought it was, got it. All right, that's where we are from there. Next case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have case U 2249-24-1. It's a request by Drew Patterson for a conditional
Let
use.
us, hold
Yes,
on
sir.
one second.
Yes,
If
sir.
anyone who would like to go ahead and leave quietly, we give you that opportunity right now, okay? Yeah,
It's okay. Sorry.
yeah. It was, we'll let it move.
Yeah, there's we can't fix it.
Okay, excuse me, Neil.
Yes, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
right ahead, sir.
Yes, Mr.
We're
Chairman.
back in the order.
We have case U 2249-24-1. It's a request by Drew Patterson for a conditional use permit to allow the construction and operation of a fiber hub facility per Article 3-2-2.15, Public Utilities, and in accordance with Article 17, Conditional Use Permits of the Zoning Ordinance. The property is zoned A1 agricultural and is located at the corner of Zachary Taylor Highway, Route 522, and Cedar Grove Rd, Route 652, in the Stevensburg Magisterial District. It's found on Tax Map 63, Parcel 28. The Planning Commission will consider, review, and make findings whether the general location or approximate location, character, and extent of the proposed fiber hub facility is in substantial accord with the county's adopted comprehensive plan or part thereof in accordance with Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, Section 15.22232. The Planning Commission is also responsible for making a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors as to approval or disapproval of the use permit.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, as Mr. Drumheller just said, this is a conditional use permit request to develop a portion of agricultural land near the intersection of Zachary Taylor Highway and Cedar Grove Road into a fiber regeneration station. This regeneration station will be comprised of a approximately 10,000 square foot compound containing 6 12-by-20 shelters. Would you get that slide up, please? My fault. Thank you. 6 propane generators, 2 2,000-gallon propane tanks, an 8-foot-high brown composite fence, as well as exterior vegetative screening. The proposed use, as I said, is a fiber regeneration station on leased land. According to the applicant, this site would enable enhanced broadband services. Since this project is adjacent to Zachary Taylor Highway, as Neil just said, a certificate of appropriateness will be necessary. The review of this use permit is limited to the intent of Article 30-1 of the Entrance Corridor Overlay District and not under normal Article 17 use permit requirements. This is uniquely different than most other use permits which reference Article 17 and the general health, safety, and welfare of criteria associated with that type of review. Staff recommendation. This is after reviewing the application, staff is supportive of this conditional use permit for public utilities utility. The proposed use would enhance the fiber optic infrastructure with limited impact on the surroundings. Staff is in support of the application and recommends that the Planning Commission find this application in conformance with the 2023 Culpeper County Comprehensive Plan, recommends approval of this conditional use permit request for public utilities, and grant a certificate of appropriateness to help maintain the intent of Article 30.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Is the applicant or representative for the applicant here? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good evening. My name is Drew Patterson, and I'm the Director of Network Towers. As staff noted, Network Towers will actually own the facility. Our client, the fiber provider, will run fiber into the facility. We do not own the fiber. Fiber's going up and down Zachary Taylor Highway. What these fiber regeneration facilities do, I guess I'll start with just what it looks like. Think of a tower compound without the tower. That's all it is. And it'll be fenced in. And essentially what fiber does is it comes into the facility, we regenerate it for the next length. Fiber, as anything, loses signal after a certain distance. In this case, depending on the type of fiber, the size of the fiber, these need to be installed about every 40 to 60 miles. So I know there was some consideration on, are these going to be everywhere? The answer is no, but they are installed every 40 to 60 miles. And the primary goal is just to revive the fiber so that it gets extra boost and signal for its next length. This is our location. When my client came to us, our guidelines were we need to be in a specific location. We had about a quarter-mile search area. We needed to be along Zachary Taylor Highway, and we needed to be on the north side of the road. The reason being is we have to, when the fiber comes into the facility, we have to splice it, and it comes into our shelters, and that's where it gets spliced. So what's in the shelter, if you think about, if you've ever seen the inside of your average IT room, it's a bunch of routers and batteries and that sort of thing. The benefits of this facility, as I said, we're going to need more and more of these throughout the country, but they're not going to be everywhere. They do enhance the local fiber capacity, improves access to a variety of services. We're all going to need this for pretty much everything that we do from here on out. We're going to need fiber to be readily available, and we're going to need it to work properly. While I cannot disclose due to a non-disclosure who my client is, I can say without a doubt that everybody in this room will benefit from this project. Again, we tried to locate the facility as close to the road as we could, but as far off the road as we could as well. So we do far exceed all of the setbacks, or I should say meet or exceed all of the setbacks. We are 650 feet from the nearest off-site residential structure, which is across Cedar Grove Rd. I know staff has already showed this diagram, but we are trying to conceal this facility as much as possible. So we're not putting a wood board-on-board fence around it. We are putting a brown composite 7-foot fence around it. It's a top-notch fence. It's going to cost us about $65,000 just for the fence alone. And then we're going to put eastern arborvitae around the entire facility to try to screen it as much as possible. And that particular landscaping will grow to a maximum height of 10 to 15 feet, so it will screen the facility from all of the roads. Again, I just wanted to point out that we did locate it so that we are meeting or exceeding setbacks. We did try to site it as best as possible. And I will say this will be an absolute benefit to the health, safety, and welfare of everyone. I think it's important to note this has nothing to do with the data center in no shape or form. So I feel that relevant based on past comments tonight. And that's pretty much what we're doing. It's a pretty simple project here. We are trying to conceal it as much as possible, and I do think that it will help everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Starting with Katie.
So I'm not worried about who your person is. This is solely 100% for rural broadband. This is not data centers will be using this. This is not industry. This is just for personal home use.
So the fiber facility as built, we're going to have 2 concrete shelters in it for my client. But similar to a tower, we're building it so that other fiber providers can locate in there as well if they need to. We're trying to build one facility that will locate multiple fiber users, because every fiber user is going to need to do this for their fiber. So I won't sit here and tell you that another fiber user couldn't come in. Could be public safety, it could be national security, it could be anybody.
Another data center.
Well, I don't know how it would relate to a data center. This will not be a data center, but fiber running into this facility, I couldn't say that it couldn't come from a data center somewhere. I just don't know that.
So there is that potential, though.
That fiber from a data center could come in here? It's possible.
Okay. So you have basically 2 2,000-gallon propane tanks on the facility, which to me, I have major fire concerns. We're basically in the middle of the country, and now we're placing 2 bombs out there. Don't know if you've ever mowed hay or not, but there's a lot of hay that is mowed around there. Rocks fly out, and that sparks. I've been around propane a lot, and putting a bomb out there in the middle of all that farmland is a great concern of mine. In terms of fire suppression, what will you be using?
So these, we have to, when we build the propane tanks, we have to build them so that there's a spark radius around them. So we're going to locate them more in the center of the compound, and it's going to have a 7-foot fence around it. So our intent is to prevent those types of things from happening, from locating it as internal as possible.
I can tell you, someone who's cut a lot of hay, unless you completely enclose it in a shelter, there is no way that you can prevent that from happening.
Yeah, the generators and the propane tanks are absolutely necessary for the project. If these things go down, we need short-term emergency generators, and that's the only time that they're used is in an emergency. We need those there to,
Can you bury the tanks?
we cannot bury these tanks. They need to be above ground.
So what is your fire suppression?
We would meet fire code. I mean, we'd certainly have to. I can't speak to,
Is it water? What's the water source? Is it some type of foam? I mean,
what I could say is we would meet code, whatever that is.
okay. In terms of, like, okay, let's say it gets approved or whatever, the facility's there, what are we looking in terms of people? Is there any type of, I mean, are you going to be using a well and septic? Like, what are we looking at?
No, ma'am. This will not be a manned facility. It'll need no water, no septic, no anything. We will have a security system there, full-time, 24-hour monitoring, so we won't need any type of manned facility.
What about lighting?
We will have, the only lighting we'll have is a motion sensor light. It'll be faced internal, that'll only come on if somebody walks in the facility at night.
Okay, and what about alarms?
Like I said, we'll have 24-hour monitoring, but at the same time, we'll have, the doors to it will be gated, they'll be locked.
Right, but will there be, like, let's say something happens, will there be a loud alarm go off that,
There won't be a loud alarm,
Residents.
but we'll be notified immediately. It'll be similar to a house alarm where we contract out to a consultant that will notify emergency services immediately.
and then my last question for now is you said, I think it was 40, every 40 to 60 miles. So is this at 40, 50, 60, 52? Where does this fall in that pathway?
So I don't know at this point where their next fiber facility is, but I do believe it's between 40 to 50 miles.
Okay, that's all for now.
Yes.
So a couple questions. What do you, based on the fiber lines that would go to the facility, you're planning on 6 towers, right? Is that correct?
Shelters.
Shelters, right?
Yes.
2 of them will be occupied already that you have users for, essentially?
That's a good question. We won't put the other ones in there unless we have a user. There won't be any speculative shelters in there. They'll only be put in if they're used.
If there's a user. And so is there do you have the overall alignment of the fiber optic line that would currently go to the 2 that you're talking about, you could share?
I cannot share that.
So does it cross does it go through existing properties that require easements and things of that nature?
Yes.
So in an
it
effort to
will.
have this use, you're going to have a duct bank potentially? And if so, have you done geotechnical work to determine the heat transfer within the ground? Because I know in some cases they become very large based on the heat transfer from a geotechnical engineering perspective.
Yes,
And
good
so-
question. They will do all that. They'll have to obtain their easements. They'll have to do all the geotech work. And to your point, they won't be able to do any of that until they get their approvals to run the fiber. This project is for the facility itself. We don't control the outside fiber or the easements, but to your point, they will have to do that.
So it'd be safe to assume that you'd want to have that layout worked out before you put this facility in this location?
No, they have it designed. They do have all that
They
designed.
do have a fiber optic line, they do have all the easements necessary to build the fiber optic lines?
Yes, they have detailed plans that they did share with us. I just can't provide that as part of this.
Do you know what size duct bank you're proposing?
I do not.
Okay, the only reason I ask is there's a lot of issues with heat transfer and things like that, plus you're occupying the road, whether you have storm sewer, sanitary water, anything like that within the road system, it makes a big difference in whether or not you have profiles usually you would submit it to the jurisdiction as part of an excavation permit process, and that would get reviewed. I just didn't know where you stood on that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I can assure you that they're doing all that and they have done all that. I just, as part of this project, I don't have that information available.
And then you mentioned generators. Did you do a noise study in terms of what the generator noise would,
We
how
do.
far it would dissipate?
Yeah, we do have that information. It's a 150 kilowatt generator. And I don't have the decibel level in front of me, but what we're told, it'll be about a normal HVAC unit when it comes on. And again, they only come on during emergency situations for short terms, but when they do come on, it'll be about a HVAC system at a home.
Yeah, I'm envisioning like a data center substation which hums and has a lot of vibration and things like that. So I'm trying to envision what that noise would be, just to make sure we've accounted for that with the adjoining property owners.
Yes, and we did look into that, and it'll be minimal noise.
And in your plan, did you have an environmental study that was done for the site? In other words, are there wetlands, are there aquatic plant material, are there floodplains, streams? What's potentially around this that could be impacted from this development?
Yeah, that's you're on point with your question. So we treated, even though we didn't have to, we treated this, because this isn't a federally regulated entity, but when we build towers, and they are, but we felt it necessary to go through the full environmental NEPA as part of this. And we furthermore went and did a wetland study, because there is a little depression behind the facility. So we went ahead and did that too. So we did determine that there are no environmental effects on this project. And we also determined that there's no wetlands. The area behind it is not a wetland. So
Okay.
we're in the clear on the environmental aspects.
And then in your plan, how did you address stormwater management, like the VRM spreadsheet and things of that nature?
You mean when we grade the site?
Well, if it's stone, is it going to be a stone base, going to be paved? And then how are you treating the additional runoff?
It'll be gravel, similar to a tower site, and we did engineer runoff per the county specs.
Okay. Well, I know that the state DEQ requires the stone to be treated the same as asphalt, so you'd have to basically treat it at full development. And so I noticed there's an existing pond behind the facility, but
Yeah.
that pond doesn't handle this particular site.
Right.
So, but on your plan, I didn't see how you're proposing any environmental feature to control it, because in a lot of cases, the area underneath the pavement is full of electric lines and fiber optics and fiber lines and things like that, so there's not a lot of room for other things underground typically.
Yeah, so it will be gravel, but you're right. You have to
Yeah.
treat gravel the same as you do asphalt on these things. So the runoff can't be any more than, when we're finished, can't be any more than what it is before we start. So we did work with your engineering folks at Culpeper to design this so that the runoff is going into the existing drainage that's out there.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't see it on the plan itself, how that was addressed. So, okay, that's,
Okay, anyone else?
I got-
Okay, Cindy?
You want to go?
No.
Well, I just got one to follow up on something he asked. So I just want to make sure I understand this right. So Lance had asked about the easements and all that, and to me, it wasn't clear. You talked about a design and blah, 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 blah. So are those easements secured, or do they just have a design?
My understanding is those easements are secured, yes.
Okay.
This is along the fiber route that they need. There's probably actually several fiber providers running along 522. My client probably is running all through 522 already, a section of it. But my understanding is they do have those easements.
Okay.
I just had a quick question. So there
Yes,
is no
ma'am.
fire suppression equipment at the facility. So then, is there any proffer to the fire department, or what is the, I mean, we've had data center fire conversation and you can't put it out with water, so what do you put it out with if any of that fiber catches on fire? Is that a water thing or a foam thing or chemical?
If the propane tank,
Well, the propane tank is not what I'm saying. He was talking about, it's hot, the cables are hot. So should any fire break out at that facility, our fire department's gonna be called in, our residential volunteer fire department. So have you spoken to anybody from that, or does your client have any, equipment that he can provide for that?
yeah, so these shelters,
Yeah.
inside of them, as I said, house a lot of equipment.
Right.
Routers and
Electrical, right.
batteries and that sort of thing. So there's fire suppression within the shelter.
Oh, okay,
So that would be covered.
okay. So inside that, they don't have to open that door and do anything?
They want to protect their investment. It's quite the investment. So
Okay. All right,
even
thank
though
you.
we own the shelter, they would own the equipment within it.
Yeah, is it brick or concrete?
It's going to be concrete,
Okay, thank you.
precast.
Yes, Ray?
Just a couple questions. So this is like 100 by 100 square, there's the facility itself. But the lot that you're putting this on is much, much larger than that, right?
Yes, sir.
So if the conditional use permit, does that go to the lot or just to this 100 by 100 piece of the lot?
This would apply to just that 100 by 100.
You have to come back to us.
Okay, so it's only to that 100 by 100, so we're not going to be building more of these shelters and the rest of this? Okay, it's only
No,
that?
sir.
Okay. Let's see, the fence you talked about, sound like a nice fence, barbed wire on the top?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
sir.
Let's see, you talked about running a generator, so you're going to have, there'll be a generator, I assume, for each building, if you will, okay? So you're going to test them, you run them, I understand if something goes bad, they're going to come on and they're going to run. But when you test them, if you've got, at some point, if you've got 6 clients and you got 6 generators out there, do they all get tested at the same time? Or do you test them, I mean, that's a lot more noise than if you test them one at a time.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the 2 generators are the only 2 generators. So we anticipate that those will handle all 6 shelters. There won't be any more than that, so that's
Okay,
what
because
we
I thought the
anticipate.
drawing showed 1 per building, didn't it?
Well, it would be 2 initially, but the plan is that those would handle existing development and future. And I'm sorry, so initially it would only be 1 generator for the 2 shelters that we're putting in. The other generator would handle the other generator, the other shelters.
Okay, so you think you'll only have a total of 2 generators?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Gotcha. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Yes, sir. On the generators, I assume that they'll be tested periodically. So do you know what the testing schedule would be and how long they'll run when they're being tested?
I don't know that yet, but based on experience, because we haven't even ordered them yet,
Yeah.
so we might use a different manufacturer than, But as far as testing, usually it's about once a month.
Yeah.
They'll just come on for a few minutes and go off.
Okay, so just for a few minutes, and you don't know what time of day? They wouldn't be like early morning testing? Because even in an area like that, even a little bit of sound can travel a long way, even though the closest house is 655 feet away. They can still have an impact if there's no other noise out there.
That's certainly something I could check on, and we could probably set them to test at a certain time.
I would avoid the early morning hours, because we've had other facilities in town that have tested big generators, 4 and 5 a.m., and so it's been very disruptive to some neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this question. You said everybody in here would benefit from this facility, and so I understand that it's going to boost the fiber signal, but how would we all benefit? I guess I'm trying to see to make sure I understand that the benefits to the residents of Culpeper and Culpeper County outweighs the risks of the propane and other things out there.
Yeah, so without divulging my client,
Sure,
which I would
yeah.
love to, but but I can't. it is an entity that would benefit everybody, I could say that.
Okay,
But also at the same time, you know, others, the plan is for others to use this facility too. This one facility is taking away the need to build other facilities like this in the area. So we're doing one facility to accommodate multiple users.
so we might improve the internet connectivity we might have at our houses, at our businesses?
Yeah, you know, everything, a cell tower runs off fiber,
Yeah.
your phone, I mean, everything, your house, everything's running off fiber now. And your internet signals only, anywhere you are, is only as good as the fiber that's serving whatever's serving your house or your phone or whatever. So the most important part of a cell network is the fiber. It's not the tower, it's the fiber, it's availability of fiber, it's the length of the fiber run, it's all of those things. Fiber is the backbone of your whole network, whether it's in your home or your business or your phone. So by allowing this facility to be here in Culpeper County, you're boosting the signal of whoever uses this facility. And as I said, my client, I know, would certainly benefit everybody in this room.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
Okay, so some more questions here. We've talked about the generators and that they have to run periodically, you know, for testing, whatever, I get that. Have you done any research to see how often it is that that area lose power and those would actually have to run on purpose outside of testing?
I don't know how much that area loses power. I can assume that it's, I don't live terribly far from here. I can assume that it's somewhat similar to the amount I lose power, which is not very often, but it would only lose power when, the generators would only come on when power is completely out. And we had a snowstorm, right? It's a tough time to be talking to you about how often power goes out because power just went out for a lot of people around here probably. But at the same time, it was only out for a short time, and that's the amount of time that the generator would be needed.
So in terms of power too, I mean, have you had conversations with the electric supplier? I mean, this is not my field, but to me, this is going to use a lot of electricity, which I would assume is part of the placement with the big power line not that far away. So, I mean, we have these data centers coming online that are going to be pulling power from the same line. Is there even enough power there for this facility?
Yeah, it's a good question because I'm certainly aware of the power that these data centers generate, and it's astronomical. We did look into this. It's a big part of when we locate to make sure it has enough power. So a two-shelter facility is similar to a cell site. It's not much difference in power to what a typical cell tower would use, which isn't really all that much. The difference is we're using, a cell site uses single-phase power. We're using three-phase power on this site, which is actually more efficient and less taxing on the grid than a cell site which uses single-phase power.
So if approved and you did a full build-out to the 6, we're looking at the equivalent of 3 cell towers.
So if we did 6 shelters, it would be about 3.5 times a cell site.
Okay.
But again, to the point, we're using a different type of power. We're using three-phase, which is much more efficient.
Okay, and then kind of back to the comments about heat. Obviously, in the buildings, there's going to be heat, so I'm assuming, because it's really small, the 2 units on the end of every building are AC units. How are we cooling? Is it water cool? I mean, what are we looking at there?
Most of these facilities have a small HVAC unit that just cools it. It's similar to a window unit in a house or something like that. But yeah, heat does get in here, so we have to pull the heat out and keep it cool.
Okay, but it's, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you know, is it just basically similar to 2 house units, or is it some type of a water cooling system with the stuff added in the water? I mean, what are we?
No. This is just a simple unit attached to the building to keep it cool. It's not it's not a complex, water-cooled type thing, so.
So have you done the noise evaluation then, considering, I'm a worst-case scenario person, so if you had all 6 generators running and all 12, it looks like AC units running, like, what does that noise look like? Have you done that?
It's still minimal. Yeah, I mean, the generators, as big as they are, they're about an HVAC unit at a house. The units on these shelters make almost no noise.
Okay, I mean, it's a pretty open area there, so, I mean, sound travels
Yeah,
very, very far there.
and fair point, and I should note with the 7-foot composite fence, it's not board on board, with the composite fence surrounded by the landscaping, we expect, and our experience says that cuts way down on it as well.
Okay, go ahead.
I appreciated Keith's question about the benefit, and I just want to clarify it a bit. Right now, as far as my cell phone coverage and computer use, I don't need it to improve. So what would be the benefit as far as to us?
Well, it depends on where you're at.
Right.
Your cell phone will work good here, but it might not work well somewhere else. If you go out to a tower that doesn't have fiber run to it, it's not going to work as well. If you don't have fiber to your home, which a lot of people don't, then it's, you're disadvantaged there. So, for everybody that gets fiber run to their home, or every business that gets fiber to it, it'll prevent interruptions. It'll give you a continuous stream of internet. Right? If you have poor fiber, then you'll see interruptions in your service. And a lot of people experience that. Fortunate that you don't,
No, I
but
understand.
a lot of people do, and this will help on uninterrupted service. For example, I could talk about my mother. She's at her house. She has very poor internet. She can't shop. She can't stream websites. She can't even, she couldn't pull up the Culpeper County website if she wanted to.
Okay.
It'll help those people.
So from these huts, it'll be fiber that will run ultimately to towers, to people's houses, to businesses. So this is sort of a central point for fiber to regenerate, but also fiber lines would be then run to other places that they're not run right now, and you'll be able to do that where you couldn't do that at this point?
You can improve the fiber run into places that currently have it,
Okay,
and you can add fiber to places that don't currently have it.
okay.
For
So this makes that possible where it's not possible right now?
It makes it possible.
Is it possible right now to do?
Some areas.
It's very spotty.
Yeah, so if they ran, I said every 40 miles, 40 to 60, let's use the 40-mile example. If that fiber ran 80 miles without any regeneration, it's not very good.
Okay.
It's just diminishing after a certain distance, and this corrects that.
So there are areas where you can't run fiber to right now for that reason?
Well, you could run the fiber to the house, but it wouldn't be very good.
Okay.
It would just be poor service.
Performance.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for.
And then, and the client, how's the client benefit from this? What's their?
So it's similar to what you would ask the question, how would Verizon benefit by improving a service to a cell tower? It's customer experience. It allows, to the example of my mother, she can't do certain things on her computer. This would allow her to do those things. And, in today's society, when everybody has good service, it improves everybody's experience. Work from home, shop from home, do a variety of things.
Yeah, this county has intermittent internet. When you go out towards 522 the other direction in Boston, if you have a Verizon phone, you cannot use it because there's nothing on the tower at the landfill. So and then Comcast has run line down 522 in that area, but they have to boost it because now they've gotten too far from wherever their initial power source is. So I'm sure this is all part of that.
And you said a
wiring.
key word when you said boost.
It's a booster.
It's a booster, really.
I think that part of the benefit to your client would be is that you can boost the level of service that's being provided.
Yes.
And so therefore, they can charge for higher internet speeds and things like that to the user. I think
Yeah.
is what you're really talking about. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
One more quick.
Okay.
All right, sir. I imagine that Network Towers has built a number of other facilities just like this. This isn't the first one, correct? And you have direct experience with those? And the point I'm getting at, have you ever experienced any issues with these types of facilities in terms of the propane tanks, in terms of noise complaints from nearby residents when the generators go off, in terms of people being able to get over the fence and get inside and monkey around with them? I mean, any issues at all that you've seen elsewhere with these same types of facilities that we might could see here?
No, sir, I haven't. I will say the security, we build more towers than we do these types of facilities, and the security that's on this, and the landscape and in the fencing that is on this is far superior to the average cell site we build. And I will say, no, I haven't seen those issues.
Okay. And we have codes and all in place when it comes to, you know, propane, or if you have these tanks and things like that, there are things in place.
Not specifically with propane tanks, Mr. Chairman, but I mean, the site plan process does allow us to consider, you know, impacts to adjacent.
You know, when they put when
Unlike
we
use.
build a house and they want a propane tank, there are requirements they have to,
That,
Me?
I don't get into for residential use, for a propane tank, no.
so when it comes to the commercial, they don't.
We have fire codes that we have to adhere to
Yeah,
with these things.
Codes, yeah.
But not planning and zoning codes
Right,
necessarily.
right.
Mr.
right.
Chairman, the building department does have
and
regulations
stuff.
they follow. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of that is, you know, how far away from the house it has to be and things
Yeah.
like that. But the
Yeah.
building department would be the ones for the county
Yeah.
to look at that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, Neil, I didn't
No, it's fine.
put that the right way. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
One more, this question of, how many of these have you done in Virginia?
We, my company's worked on multiple ones of these. We are working on 3 others, and I can tell you that.
I'm just saying, like, have you done 20, have you done 50, 100? Just curious.
No, not even
Just
close.
curious.
There aren't that many of them
Yeah, yeah.
out there. With fiber regeneration is, you know, it's necessary, but it's not been around forever, right? Fiber's going into the ground everywhere is why we need these. So we are doing one in Orange County right now, we're doing one in Caroline County, and we're doing one in Stafford County right now. I don't know that we'll need any more than that in this area anytime soon.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We are opening a public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. At this time now, we open the public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to speak to this application, please raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, and come forth and give your full name for the record, okay? Yes, sir. Come on.
So my name is John Schulte. I live off of Cedar Grove Road, about half mile from the proposed location. And a lot of my questions have been answered, but I guess to me it appears that the entrance will be off of Cedar Grove Road with about a 75-foot setback.
Oh,
Is that correct? Okay. And what is the height of the shelters to the 8-foot composite fence?
He only be speaking to us.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
You only
Okay.
addressing us.
Yeah,
and-
but
and we
could you
will
ask
get
that
an answer.
question of-
We will get you an answer. Mm.
Okay, yeah, because what I see is,
Say that, give me that question.
okay,
Give us that.
what is, when we see the site from the perimeter, we'll see an 8-foot composite fence with arborvitae inside, which will grow to about 8 feet. Okay. How much higher are the buildings than the fence? Will we see a compound, or will we see rooftops.
Okay.
That's really all I have.
Sure. Okay.
10 feet? Okay.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else? You got up faster than his hand came up.
Sorry. My name's Travis Back. I guess what I'd like to tell y'all is, if you can, try to, the lighting, as far as the lighting goes, I know he said that it'd be on or motion sensed. If you can, try to, kind of make sure that is, because I guess me and my family own some of the land around there, and the last thing we need is more lighting around there. I mean, I get it, other properties have their rights, they can do stuff, but the lighting, he's saying that it's going to be motion sense, so that'd be great if that's it, but I don't know if there's a way to, to see if he can make sure that it stays motion sensed and not on permanently, especially if it's a super bright light, that kind of thing. The other thing is the surveillance cameras. I think they're supposed to be pointing inward in on the property or on the facility. Kind of concerned with what's, where, what else is it viewing?
I understand.
So I don't want our properties to be under constant surveillance, and who knows where that's going to. We don't like that. So it's the lighting and the surveillance, but also the noise. I know we're talking about the noise with the generators and things like that, but is there any noise in this facility for the rest of the time that it's whatever's going on there? Is there any other noise? And not just the noise level, but, I don't know the different technical terms for it, but is there a high-pitched noise that comes out versus just the regular noise like me and you talking? So a little worried about that too. Not just with the generators. I mean, if the generators are on once a month, that's one thing for testing, that kind of thing. But yeah, just what is going to be that constant noise of whatever this facility is going to be doing with the fiber optics. Also, another thing that I'd like to know more about is the radiation. I don't know how this stuff works, but is there some sort of radiation impact with this? It'd be nice to know that kind of stuff. Again, I'm all about property rights and people being able to do what they should be able to do or want to do on their own properties. But then when a company comes in to lease something, and then the other part of that is, why the unknowns? Why can't they tell us who their customer is or who their other customers are going to be? We're right on that road, and I didn't even know for the longest time why there's at least 8 what I call conduit pipes that are being constructed right now. I don't know how much y'all go down 522, but right now they've been working on it for at least a month or so, and who knows how much longer this is going. So I'm a little confused on why the unknown, on why they can't say who it is. And then also future expansion to the other customers that they might have. And I was told, I'm not sure who, I can't cite the source or whatever, but that those lines, those fiber optic lines run on 522. And again, I'm just surprised that I don't know anything about that. I had to find out from some random person that those lines are going to be running from what I've heard, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, from the data centers in Culpeper to the data centers in Louisa. So I just don't like the unknowns. So it'd just be nice for me and for everyone in that area, and then for you all to know the unknowns. I know when it just seems like it's convenient that there's all these unknowns, and it's like, well, maybe this can help y'all make a better decision in the Board of Supervisors of knowing something. And I don't know how legally this works. I don't know if that's just how the game's always played, but, you know, it'd be nice to know some of these unknowns about that.
Okay.
And I think that's about all I have, but I just like for y'all to kind of help us out, everyone down in that area, you know, be able to make sure that, you know, they put some restrictions on it so that the people around them aren't, you know, aren't at a disadvantage and stuff like that. And the same point with with our benefits. You know, I guess in general terms, it's saying it's going to benefit us. Well, I mean, let's see how it benefits us. Why the unknowns? Oh, it's going to help your you know, your speed of your internet and stuff. But I mean, in the plan, I think it said it's going to directly benefit us. Well, I'd like to see how it's going to directly benefit us.
Right.
It says directly benefit us. So tell us how it's going to directly benefit us.
Okay.
You know, if you're going to put something up there like that.
All right.
And then I guess last, he said 40 miles. They run them every 40 miles. Well, there's one in Orange. So I'm not quite sure on how that works because Orange is right next to us. So if they have one built, if they're building one in Orange right now, do we really need one where we're at? And, you know, just, you know, I hate always, you know, all the stuff about the data centers and everything, but it's just, what other unknowns are there as far as the data center? I mean, I don't want to get too much into that, but I just don't like all the unknowns. So it'd be nice to have some answers to some of that before they go on with it. And if they can answer it and you know, whether they come and talk to the adjacent property owners or to you all, it'd be nice to have some answers. So, and then also, sorry, last thing I'll say is just what else? I mean, this is what's going on there now, but what is there to be? And I know that they'll have to get approval for the other things in the future, but I'm also worried about that is there a way to make sure that on that same site where there's a, you know, special use permit, make sure that they're not saying one thing and then next thing you know, what if they do build a tower there and all those other things? So just like to be aware for that. And sorry, last thing I wanted to do was come up here and talk, but
Oh, no.
I figured I'd get my.
You did real good once the motor got to running. You did.
Thank you.
All right. Good. Anyone else? Yes, sir. But very good points. Very, very good points.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Austin Schulte. I'm actually the property across Cedar Grove from this site. I had a couple of questions. One being, there's six shelters going in. If they fill those all up, is it open to adding on to the facility?
Okay.
That's one question.
Okay.
I do have concerns about the noise level, but I'm sure you guys are going to drill him about that. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Okay.
So
All right.
thank you.
Good job. Good job. That first question,
Straight back.
John, that first question, when he, in reference to whether or not they would be able to add any more on, after that they can't. And without coming back and something else has.
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that the future development would be directly tied to this concept plan, because it is a concept plan.
Yeah.
So to Mr. Zegley's point, it doesn't apply to the whole property. So if they wanted to expand, they'd have to come back.
All right, thank you. Okay, no, in the back. No, we're good there. Okay.
Corey Clinton, Stevensburg. First, I kind of want to, my comments are mostly to the benefit to the Commonwealth in general. This type of bolstering our infrastructure, I think is important that something like this does move forward. Not only are we seeing a rapid deterioration in our copper lines and our analog phones. I mean, who has an analog phone in our houses anymore? And if they're just rapidly deteriorating and not supported. This type of amplification and extension of the attenuation of lines is very important into the whole statewide agenda of our statewide Wi-Fi or statewide broadband initiative. And having sites like this, you know, they benefit not just Culpeper, but other municipalities who don't have that right now. This is an attenuation extension where possibly they could to expand. So there are some significant benefits. And then, you know, when we're talking about our telecommunications infrastructure, I think it was alluded to, you know, there may be a 5G tower, but unless the towers aren't connected with fiber, that it's truly not a 5G tower. You're not seeing those rapid data transmissions through the infrastructure unless you have sites like this. So I mean, it is an indirect benefit. We don't see it. You know, the site goes, we're not going to see it immediately, but it is a Commonwealth a benefit. And so I think it is an important thing to have. But what I want to allude to is the concerns of the citizens. The sight lines and the you know, potential noise and all those. What I'd like to hopefully see is a step up and not only just meet the guidelines, but let's exceed them. I'd like for something as small as this, the cost benefit of a small improvement could go a long way. You know, whether it's a higher fence or additional buffering, additional landscape around it, whatever. I really hopefully that we can encourage the applicant to bolster that and take away the concerns of lights and sound and sight lines and stuff. But that's the only comments I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Tammy Schulte. I live on Cedar Grove Road.
Could you
With my husband,
say that
John.
again and speak into the...
Oh, okay.
There you go. Good.
My name is Tammy Schulte. I'm married to John. He came up and spoke. We live on Cedar Grove Road. We moved to Culpeper County to get away from Gainesville. We lived in Gainesville. We have 4 children. The other boy, or young man, Austin, is our oldest son. We bought acreage, so our 4 children, so we could leave them, divide the land. It's been difficult with subdividing. Even our own property in Culpeper County was not what we anticipated. This doesn't have anything to do with this, except the change from rural and agricultural to what we're talking about now. And this is, we have deer, we have wildlife, turkeys, roaming. I mean, it's quiet, it's peaceful. Our road is a gravel/dirt road. When it rains, it's mud. That's an issue, because if there's going to be traffic on that road, the runoff, it doesn't drain as it is. Can't be blacktop because they don't take care of the road now. They dredge the ditches and you get glass and you get whatever people throw out. But that will be an issue with having the extra traffic and the runoff possibly from the development of the land. I appreciate you mentioning, Ms. Reams, the propane tanks, because that scares me to death. It's not just pastures and hay, it's wooded, nothing but woods. We're the only 2 houses on this part of the road, on the gravel part of Cedar Grove Road. We like it like it is. I understand it's our neighbor's property to do with what they want, but we don't want the eyesore, we don't want the danger, because it would be a forest fire if those things did catch on fire, and that scares me to death. We have 2 grandbabies that live on that road. We don't know what the health implications will be from this being so close to us. If you show the map again, we're the second driveway. Our grandbabies are the second, or the first driveway on that road. We're the only 2 people that actually live on that road. We know what it's like. It's going to totally change our country life, and we can't move. We're settled in. But I also wonder about property taxes. Will this cause our property taxes to go up? There's just so many unknowns. And we have Wi-Fi on our road. It runs right across the road, on the same side of the road that they're proposing this. To me, it kind of sounds like they just want to be in on, if people want Wi-Fi, it's there. You can get the Wi-Fi. I just don't understand the whole concept. To change our whole agricultural area that we left
All right.
that for this, and now it's coming. And I'm not ready for it, I guess.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm not a public
No,
speaker,
no,
but
no.
I'm just,
No, you did very well.
I don't.
Thank you very much.
I'm not ready for this,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and I don't think.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. Declare the public hearing closed. We've heard different comments that have been made, and at this time, the chair entertain any other discussion? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So kind of where I get to this, on this, there is a whole lot of unknowns, a whole lot of uncertainty. And when we look at the comprehensive plan, in terms of conformance, under Chapter 2, Land Use and Development, flat out, the vision says to preserve prominently agriculture and rural nature of Culpeper County, and this is right in the middle of prime farmland. That pasture typically year-round has goats in it. I buy it all the time. So I'm around that area, cell service is fine, Wi-Fi, there's not an issue there. I don't see where there's any need or benefit to the county from this going in. So therefore, I move.
Yeah.
Nope, okay, we want more discussion, that's
Yeah,
fine.
more
I'll hold off. So there's my general thoughts until everybody else wants to share
Okay.
theirs.
All right. Anyone else have any discussion? Mr. Price?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask the applicant that they provide a phone number to the people that live around it, so they've got somebody to contact if the lights go on in the middle of the night and they stay on, or the generators go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and, but the people that live around there need to have somebody they can reach out to if this gets approved, that they can report problems with it, so that they are not just having to suffer with it and with no recourse.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
This is something totally new to me. I've not heard about these type of facilities. So when I originally came in here, I thought, oh, this sounds like a great idea. But after hearing from everybody, I have a lot of questions I don't have answered right now. Once you say yes to something, it's hard to go back. So I'm hesitant to go forward with a yes on this, for example, with there's something that I may have missed. I haven't had time to process it fully, just from my perspective, especially if I'm hearing from the constituents and their concerns, which I think are valid to address. So that's a concern, if that's a proper way to put it. So,
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate the concerns, but there are a lot of areas in this county that do not have Wi-Fi. I'm one of them. The county's in the process of trying to get that put out there and to support everybody. And when that does, that means the amount of people using the system is going to go up, which means that the level of service is going to go down unless we do something about that. I think that the applicant has come forward with a plan that says he's trying the best he can to keep this thing contained. It's a small piece of land. Neil, correct me if I'm wrong here, but since it's a conditional use permit, the site plan is going to come back. Is that right? We're going to see the site plan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get the opportunity to make sure that the issues that people have brought up in terms of noise and view shed and so forth get addressed at that point in time. So I would support this activity.
Yes.
Yeah, I too would support it because there are many areas on the other end of the county that do not have Either it's cell tower service, Wi-Fi, and that cable's being run everywhere in our county now, or fiber. They're running it all over the county. But if it can't get there, and I have developed a piece of land myself, and Comcast charged an exorbitant amount of fee because it was not able to get all the way back to where it needed to go, and they needed to do a booster program. So it's a little elementary and crude in my wording, but that's a problem in this county, and especially on the other end of the county. So I believe we can put conditions on our conditions. So I think we should be able to list out, is that correct, Neil? We want motion lights downward pointing, they have to be done by the building department, surveillance camera has to be pointing it, we can put those on there,
Ms. Thornhill,
right?
yes, ma'am,
Okay.
you can put forth
All right.
conditions.
Well, then I think we could send it on with those kind of conditions to the commission.
Anyone else? Yes. Okay.
So just a couple other things. Mr. Price pointed out some good things there about the adjoining landowners. With this type of stuff, you know, to me, it's common courtesy to contact the neighboring landowners, and I don't see where that was done. And in fact, in the report we were given on page 14, 7.1, interview with the owner would not even have a conversation with ECA, did not respond. And I did not see in that report where anyone that they tried to contact had responded. So, I mean, in terms of that, you know, to me, that's another issue. And just because this goes here, from my understanding tonight, that doesn't mean that the places that we don't have good service will benefit from this directly. It doesn't mean that specifically your service will be improved from this.
That's true, but service will be improved.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, someone in that area, service is not an issue.
Yeah.
Well, we can debate
Yeah.
back and forth. Somebody's gonna get improved service from this activity.
Or
But it very well might not be the
county
homeowners
itself.
and the county residents' homes is my point.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So the benefit here then is that we're going to get better internet service and maybe internet service at places which don't have excellent service. And I think that's a great goal, but is this the best way for us to do that? I don't know. I mean,
We have been, as a county, we've been dealing with all points, trying to get service out into the sticks, if you will. And they have not done it over a 3 or 4 year
well, you're still
period.
going to have to take fiber out to them.
There's
That's an
fiber going up
expensive-
the main roads now, though. It's Verizon has it, and so does Comcast. They have it on the poles with REC. So it started, it's not perfect.
Right.
But they can't homeschool. You cannot conduct any kind of homeschooling if you don't have fast enough speeds.
And I agree with that. I think
So
that's.
it's a speed issue too, so.
Yeah.
I think that's a great goal for us to have. And,
Right.
and so from my place of lack of understanding and knowledge at this point, I'll admit I don't have full knowledge and understanding of what the implications are here. And is there a better way? I don't know. I can't answer that, but this sounds reasonable. There are questions can't answer, and even it's brought a little bit of doubt hearing things talked about here tonight that I didn't have when I entered into here. Which I think once we say yes, and release it, so to speak, then that's hard to go back.
Yeah, once we say yes, and what you want to understand about this whole process, it goes to the board with an up or down.
Okay.
And the Board of Supervisors go through other channels and, you know, and seek more information and things like that too. When we talk about getting more or better internet, or, you know, it's a boost,
Right.
to it, okay? People are still getting internet and have Wi-Fi in those areas, but they don't have the best. And we want to, what we are getting in closer to these, the fiber and all, to town, or, you know, closer into the county. Well, it's deserving to those who are out, and we found that out when we had COVID and all that was going on. And that's what really woke a lot of this up. So, so it's just that boost to get out there, that you don't try to get a call through and you can't get it through because, you know, it's not strong enough. You know, too many people are on the system. So it's, you know, with this particular facility, the size of it too is, you know, is not a monster that we're, you know, putting out there. But for those who are living out there and all too, we don't want to be a situation, you know, that a hindrance to them with the lighting. And the gentleman came up with some very good, you know, the cameras, yeah. You don't want the cameras pointing, you know, we want to know. And those things, when we have the site plan, we get to talk to them about. So that's not what it is here tonight, what we're dealing with, just the facility, you know, its location itself.
And I did appreciate the man who mentioned it. All the unknowns that are
Yeah.
being presented make me just a little cautious. You know, I've learned from experience that when there's a lot of things I don't know, that makes it harder to make a decision.
Well, in a lot of cases, well, in that situation, there'd be a lot of things we don't, you know, we
Right.
wouldn't be making any decisions to move anything.
Yes.
Okay, but we look at our code and look at what we have here and the comprehensive plan and all that we have, Mark, and then see how that fits in
Yes.
with what, you know, he's presented, or the applicant's presented.
Yes, that makes
So
sense.
I understand, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of things that we're gonna think, and, you know, I need more information, but we try to get that information from the staff and all too before, so it makes us have a little bit better understanding of it.
Absolutely, and that's my goal too, I agree.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's right.
absolutely,
Hey,
yes.
you the rookie on the block.
I am, so thank you for your patience with me.
All right. If you were playing for the Commanders, you'd throw a touchdown every time you get the ball, right? or run it in. But anyway, that's where we are. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I wish I'd asked the applicant this. I'm very supportive of the facility, but I wonder why that spot? Because was that determined to be the best location, or was there a property owner found who was willing to lease the land to do it? So is there some other place within a span of 20 or 30 miles where it could have gone? I mean, I think it would bring a lot of good to the county, but then now I'm thinking, well, did it have to go right there where it's sort of obvious in a rural area? But otherwise, I'm supportive.
And you know, and wherever we put it, there would be someone who say, is this the right place, you know?
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
I have one thing to add.
Okay.
So I guess my concern deals with the data center component of it, and potential, you know, expansion. On other zoning cases and things like that, we've stated that we don't want data centers in certain locations. So my concern would be is if we approve this, we could potentially prohibit data center connections to this facility, and it's just basically for improved internet service. So it's something for us to consider throughout this process in terms of if we want to limit future growth in data centers. If this is intended eventually to be a full data center expansion area, let's just say, then it's something we need to consider. That's just what I would say.
Well, I thought they're not gonna build a data center on that, but
No,
that
but they
stuff
would
has gotta
connect.
run in there and then back out, right?
Well, the question would be is if the data center is, if a facility is built to provide additional service to the data center, then it could be built to provide additional expansion of new data centers.
Yeah, but they would have to be approved by us too. Yeah, they have to.
It would be, but we could, just like we've denied applications for data centers, like we've said proffers, you can't have data centers, you could
Right.
also say you can't have data centers connecting here.
Yeah, but connecting is one thing. It doesn't change the size or anything of it, but if they're gonna construct something on it, then you perfectly, I understand what you're saying, but just to connect to it is another thing to,
If the purpose is improving connections in the area and providing better
when they,
service,
it's
then
not,
they don't
not
need a
just
data
the
center
area.
connecting to it.
It wasn't just the area. I don't think, when they say area, he's talking Culpeper County, right? I mean, that's not just that area. There's no way it wouldn't be profitable for anyone, just that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just going by my previous experience.
Oh, yeah, but data centers is definitely, is,
I
you
mean,
know,
usually you
it
have
might
a-
can,
you
it might
have
can, connect, or like he has expressed, he says connect to maybe go through. But no other facilities or anything can be built without our approval of it.
That's right.
Or going through us, but the Board of Supervisors approve it, but going through it, no, that won't happen.
So I have one question for staff.
Yes.
Based on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but legally, we can't tell them who their clientele can be, correct? So it could be
Oh, but
It
they have
could,
to have,
I'm just saying, to his point.
Yeah.
Yes, we would have to approve it.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, this potentially could encourage more data center applications because of having this facility.
yeah, all right,
That's correct.
I don't know.
It
That's
may be
correct.
here, but maybe not. It doesn't necessarily mean a data center
Yes.
here. It could be in 2 counties over.
It could be, but.
Right, but this just boosts the signal.
Right, it could be here, it could be Orange.
And our
Absolutely.
decision,
You know.
and our decision when it comes to that too, is not to discourage that, that's not up to us. You know, some areas might want data centers, some areas might not want data centers. That's not up to us. But when it comes to us, it's what fits into this. And what they're speaking of is that one facility is what's gonna be there. And that's what we're looking at tonight, is that one facility, okay? But I understand what you're saying, but if it's a data center come up, I'll go out there with you with the axe, and we'll make sure that, you know, that doesn't, go anywhere. So, no, that's not what we're doing here. It's to boost up, to have these connections. And I think when Telemark came in, we were told that it was gonna be places like this that would come up, along the way. Well, I hadn't seen one until all of a sudden now, one is coming, but, and we still don't have broadband in the county. And, yeah, we're working on it, a lot of prayers going up, but, but when we get it, to strengthen it, to be in the other areas that it, branches off into, is what these types of facilities, are, and, so. But anyway, that's where we are.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah,
Are we ready?
yeah, we already had the public hearing and everything. Chair,
Okay.
entertain a motion.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion on case number U-2249-24-1 to move to the Board of Supervisors with approval, a certificate of appropriateness for this conditional use permit to allow the construction operation of a fiber hub facility per Article 3-2-2.15, and in accordance with Article 17, Conditional Use Permits of the Zoning Ordinance. I would like to put conditions on this to the effect that motion lighting only will be used and monitored, the installation by the building department. 2, security cameras must be only pointing inward. 3, we are limiting this to 6 shelters. 4, there should be posted on the shelter or at the gate, company contact for any emergencies for the public to be able to use the phone number. And we are not going to put any data centers on this particular facility. I think that's it. Any other conditions?
You can't do that last condition.
Okay, well, then we won't say you can't go to a data center on that property. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, any other discussion? Yes, sir.
I'll just have to state that I don't really have enough information to be able to confidently
Sure.
support. I'm 100% in support of improving internet for our
Sure.
citizens, but I'm not at peace yet with
Okay.
having enough information, so I just want that to be known before.
Sure. Okay. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay. All right. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
We'll send it forward with the recommendation of approval.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
I move that case U-2249-24-1 is not in accordance with the comprehensive plan for public telecommunication facilities in Culpeper. As I stated before, under Chapter 2 Land Use and Development, is to preserve the predominantly agriculture and rural nature of the county, and this is right in the middle of it for everyone to see, so therefore it's not in conformance. We have 2 findings.
You have what?
I thought I put in mine that it was.
She covered both of those.
I did both together.
Yeah. There's the certificate of appropriateness, and she did them.
I did, and in accordance with Article 17, Conditional Use Permit of the Zoning Ordinance.
15.2-223.
No, we
Okay,
got,
go ahead and do it. We'll see if it passes.
okay.
The code I'm referencing.
Okay, there's a
Morgan, if you
motion on the
need it.
floor. Any other discussion? Do we have a second? Excuse me, I didn't ask for a second. Do we have a second? Okay. The motion that,
So,
put in reference to the,
there's two findings we have to do, because
go ahead.
you have to do one, that it's in substantial accordance with the comprehensive plan, and then the other was accordance with Article 30, I think it was. Is
Yeah.
that right, Cindy?
Uh-huh.
So you want to add that?
It's two separate things. We voted on the 30. I'm saying that it's not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. This
So she
case
wanna vote
requires
against
two
that.
things.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, raise your right hand of the motion. All opposed? Okay. The motion fails. Yes, go right ahead.
I'd like a motion that says that the Planning Commission find, that the findings, that the general location or approximate location and character and extended proposed fiber hub facility are substantially in accordance with the county's adopted comprehensive plan or part thereof, in accordance with the Code of Virginia, and as amended in section 15-2-2232.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, let me ask, so Cindy's motion, which is already passed, addressed the two pieces of things that we're supposed to address tonight. So
Yes.
I'm not sure how Ray's
No,
motion.
well, Katie just, you can do it separately, but we had done it jointly in the beginning, so.
Okay.
But just to stay with, doing it the
old-fashioned
Robert
way.
Rules of Order, you know, and the way that we do it, then, so we just separated it. Okay? So, so Ray's motion is, for approval. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, motion is, carried. All right. Now, here comes the fun part. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to discuss? Okay. To the new, commissioners, again, you know, congratulations, and, so you got your feet wet, so next time, we'll give you one more month, and after that, that'll be it, okay? All right? Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.